Hi, it's Friday. It's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're a community interest company based in the main Paralympic host borough of Newham. I'm Ju Gosling, the artistic director, also known as the artist Ju90, where she's been locked down with me since for the last 12 months plus. Sitting next to me is our chair, the artist and campaigner Julie Newman. And at the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands, well, I'll let them introduce themselves and give us a bit of audio description. As you may be able to tell, we're also dressing up to go out to stay in. We do this every Friday. We follow the example first set by the New Zealanders last spring, where they all dressed up for their formal Fridays, got their evening wear on, and then stayed home. We take it all a bit less seriously and do things a little bit more broadly. So we dress up to go out to stay in, to do anything real or imaginary. So I'm going to go over to the West Midlands without further ado for some audio description, introductions, and tell us what you're dressed up to go out to stay in to do.
Hi, afternoon, everyone. I'm Tracy Surgeoner, and I'm involved in Together 2012 in the arts department. We're in our studio here in Sutton Coldfield with a red velvet drop back, and I'm still displaying the rosettes we made earlier on last week, I think now. And I'm dressed up to stay in to go out. Um, this weekend to go to the Irish Centre in Birmingham to continue the St Patrick's Day celebrations. So I'm looking forward to some Cayley music and just immersing myself in the Irish culture. I'm sitting in my wheelchair. I've got long blonde hair. I'm wearing, you can't quite see, a silver choker necklace and some silver sparkly jewellery. I'm wearing, of course, a grey top with a lacy front with some green. Green? Did you say grey?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm wearing. A green top with a lacy cover, and of course, the ever going green sparkly cardigan with some grey trousers. And over to
Oh,
you, Robin.
thanks for that, Tracy. And what we'll be doing at the end of the show, about 5 o'clock, we publish our highlights and links page. It's on our website, www.together2012.org.uk, on the pull down menu or linked from the Together Unlocked TV page. And that link to the activity on Sunday will be up there among the rest.
Well, and good afternoon from me. Welcome to Friday. So I am Robin Surgeoner. I'm business director at Together 2012, and also an artist known as Angry Fish. So thank you, Tracy, for such a good description, because I always forget the bits about the office. Um, Today I am sporting, as ever, my lengthening silvery white grey hair, and shiny forehead. I've got blue eyes behind no rim black armed glasses. Uh, Part of my look for today is my unshaven look, because I am being an aging rocker stroke punk rocker today. So my outfit, what I'm wearing, is part of what I'm doing at the weekend. So as we know, it is the week of St. Patrick's Day, and I've clarified, explaining as we were talking on Wednesday, that in Birmingham it tends to be from whenever St. Patrick's Day is until the following Sunday. It is actually known as the St. Patrick's Festival in Birmingham. So allows it to be spread over more than the one day. Um, so I'm wearing my a Thin Lizzy t-shirt, one of the best rock bands ever to come out of Ireland, and a mixture of musicians from north and the south of Ireland, which is really good. Um, and tonight I'm going out to see an aging covers band, and in the best way of covers band, changing the names ever so slightly. The covers band I'm going to see are called the Not Quite So Thin Lizzy.
Fantastic. Well, you and your haircut just makes me think, because Well, I'll move on to my own audio description at the same time. Starting with my hair, I have a self-styled hennaed corona crop, mercifully hidden, as I'm intending to do at least for the entire year, if not the rest of my life, under a hat. If you go out like Robin, the only one of us to have had a proper haircut in the last 12 months, it just keeps growing again anyway, Robin. So Julie and later Josh will be describing their ever lengthening locks, and I think Tracy's in the same position. But it all looks very good. My hair, on the other hand, grows out sideways like a bush. And thus, last year I gave up in despair, used the dog's clippers, and have been doing that ever since. Today I am dressed up to go out to stay in to attend a course tomorrow morning at Cecil Sharp House, which is the headquarters of the English Folk Dance and Song Society. And I'm going to be doing a calling course with Kerry Fletcher. And the reason I'm going to be doing that is we also run a wheelchair folk dance company, the only one in the world, called Folk in Motion. So today I have my Folk in Motion t-shirt on, which is a sort of light grey-green. The jacket over the top of it, everything we do in terms of our costumes, we upcycle charity shop jackets and waistcoats. So this is a black charity shop blazer with a sort of thin white stripe going through it and some embroidery, if anybody can really see, on the left hand shoulder. And that's been accessorized with red rickrack. All of the buttons have been replaced by buttons in the shape of a red rose. I've got a charity shop red rose pendant around my neck. And there's various bracelets. I've got a couple of pewter fox brooches rather. I've got some wooden bracelets. I've got some green sparkly bracelets, and other brooches include owls and a stag. So I was thinking, actually, last year in June, we produced a special web page about our costumes with all sorts of detail, as well, of course, about detail about Folk in Motion itself. So I'm going to put a link up under highlights and links page if anybody else is interested in the way that we upcycle costumes. I should also add, I've got pale olive skin, black plastic glasses, green eyes, and black plastic wrist braces as well. I was about to audio describe our third host, a small brown tabby cat, but she has left again, probably temporarily. As soon as they hear voices coming from the other end of the monitor, they rush on, because mysteriously we have not had any visitors, of course, for the last 12 months. But also behind us, you can see a little bit of our Together 2012 graffiti banner. That's covered with pictures of all of the art forms we cover in the course of a year, including circus art, street art, live music, photography, filmmaking, visual art, poetry, spoken word, and much, much more. And we also have in the background, taking part in the virtual bear hunt, a little teddy bear in a red jumper. That's Trevor, the Norwich teddy bear. He was unsuccessful on Wednesday in being able to wear a medal, but I believe there is a medal wearing raccoon teddy bear.
That is right. Rene the raccoon.
West Midlands. If you'd like to know more about the Clockwork Paralympics and join in yourself, then check out the highlights and links page for last Wednesday's episode, or join us again next Wednesday. And I see we've been joined again by Jinx, I was going to say the tabby cat, but I should just add the currently molting tabby cat. I don't know whether that's because of the spring equinox, Julie, but I know if we come on to you for some introductions and audio description and tell us where you're dressing up to go out to stay in, you're going to tell us a bit about the spring equinox this weekend as well.
Yes, hi, I'm Julie. I'm the chair of Together 2012. As Ju said, I'm currently wearing a small tabby on my lap. With her tail towards Ju, actually, and she is molting. It's getting right up my nose. Today I'm wearing my lovely going away bonnet, which is a straw hat. I'm also sporting little glasses, little green and black plastic glasses on over my usual glasses. They've got little palm trees on them and white sort of decoration going round. I'm wearing a brown T-shirt, which I'm not sure you can see because of said tabby cat, but it's got a lovely picture of a canyon with an eagle on it. It's a brown sort of tie-dye effect, and underneath I've got a green T-shirt, long sleeve T-shirt. That's it. Off you go, Dolly. Thank you. This T-shirt, the outer one, is one of my favourites. I actually bought it about 25 years ago when we were in occupation for the Centre for Independent Living in South London. And I went to a fair, a mind, body and spirit fair. And that's where I bought my shamanic drum. And this T-shirt was also on the stall. And it was actually created by indigenous peoples, as indeed was my drum. It was the Hopi tribe, and it's sort of part of their exporting goods type thing, and it's very, very beautiful. It's my favorite, one of my favorite T-shirts in the world. So today I'm going to Mexico, hence the glasses. The glasses really are just in case I want to stop off on the way and get a tropical drink with dear little straws and a little umbrella in it, which I thought would be quite nice. But I'm going to Mexico to Chichen Itza, which is in Yucatan, in south central Mexico. It was created, it's a very ancient encampment that was created by the Mayans, taken over by Toltecs. And it's wonderful. They've got a period. I'm going to take my glasses off for this because it's a bit serious. Take me serious.
What you mean is you can't see?
I can see ish. So yeah, they've got this wonderful pyramid, which is absolutely stunning. They've got all different buildings in it. It's, as I say, it's a very, very ancient site, mystical site, but also one of great archaeological importance. Although that wasn't really realised until about 30 or 40 years ago. During the vernal equinox, what happens is that the way that the pyramid is designed is that it's got, similar to the Egyptian pyramids, it's got a sloping side and it's got steps going up it. And as the sun rises on the vernal equinox, it creates shadows which looks as if there's a snake going up the side of this massive, massive pyramid, which is absolutely stunning. Now, I do have a visual aid.
Before we get on to the visual aid, could we just go one step back and say the vernal equinox means the same as the spring equinox, and it's the point at which in the year the days are of equal length. So you have a spring one and an autumn one.
It's one of two, yeah.
And what day is it?
Sorry, I've got tabby fur in my face.
Yeah, so what day is the equinox?
Tomorrow. And in this country, it sort of reaches its vernal equinoxing at 9:37 in the morning. In North America, it's probably about between 5 and 6:30 in the morning. And this is the point at which the Earth, which is represented by this globe, sort of changes. So it's going from one side, and I can't really demonstrate it with this so easily. It goes from one side because it tilts at a degree of about 23 degrees, and it comes straight up. And at that point is the equinoxes. So for us in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the point at which we're just about to go into spring. In the Southern Hemisphere, for our friends and relatives in Australia and New Zealand, they're about to go into autumn. So it's their autumn equinox and our spring equinox. And what happens is that the Earth continues to rotate and it tilts towards the sun in the Northern Hemisphere. And as it does so, let me just get that out of the way. As it does so, this is the point at which it's straight up. And then it starts to tilt towards the sun that way. So this bit, where my fingers are, get more heat and more light. And this bit, where my palm is, get less. So that's Australia and New Zealand, and this is the Northern Hemisphere.
Thank you, Julie. I hadn't quite understood that, I think, ever before. Robin?
I was just going to say, so effectively on the equinox, the sun is in line with the equator. It's that midpoint, and then as we get to our summer, we get nearer to it. Yeah,
That's exactly right, and I think that's one of the ways that, because the pyramid itself must be very close to the equator, and I think that's one of the ways in which they were able to design it so that the shadows fell. The Mayans were desperately clever around things like mathematics and astrology and so on, and it was just they had such wonderful advancements.
So again, on the highlights and links page, we will be popping up the YouTube link to be able to watch that for yourself. That part of America is about 5 or 6 hours behind. So late morning, you should be able to go on YouTube tomorrow and watch that live. Unless, like me, you are at some Cecil Sharp House doing a folk dance calling course. But I did think quite seriously it would be a very useful course to do, because obviously we haven't danced for a year. We don't know when we're going to be dancing again. It's very likely that things like virtual calling might come in. So I'm really looking forward to meeting some of these people who do it all the time, because obviously it's not something I do very often. Even, well, when we're dancing, we dance once a fortnight in term time, don't we? So, but some of these people are calling 2 or 3 times a week. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them. But in the meantime, let's move on from folk dance and the spring equinox to our art club. Our art club runs on a Tuesday and Thursday morning. It used to run, and possibly will again in the future, from 10 to 12 in a physical venue, but on Zoom we limit it to an hour. I'm going to start with Friday's art club. Both clubs have activities you can now join in with from home, but we also encourage you, if you're a disabled person with some time on your hands, to think about joining the art club. Everything we do is entirely free. All of our clubs are aimed at disabled people and anybody you want to have participating alongside you. And they're very open, very inclusive, and very accessible. What we've decided to do on a Friday morning, which is traditionally our drawing and painting morning, is to have a still life so that people have got a focus and something people can join in together. Previously, the group was very much about people being able to find their own creative voice, and we would just supply a very big range of materials. But what people got out of it in terms of togetherness was all working in the same space. So while that's not possible, we're doing a still life. So I'm going to pop up the photo that was used this morning. We're going to be putting that on the website on the highlights and links page for you to be able to join in from home. We would love to see your pictures. So it's a very traditional still life and very suitable for the spring equinox. I think it's a vase. I don't think it's in plastic. It's slightly difficult to tell. And of course, that's one of the challenges of doing any kind of painting over the internet. But it's a bunch of tulips coming into flower. There's some pale pink ones on the left. There's some orange and yellow ones in the middle. And there's some darker pink ones over to the right, along with another of the paler pink ones. So I'm just going to take that off again. And then the first ones I'm going to show you are from Sophia.
that's lovely.
It is great, isn't it? Sophia has used what I think must be felt tips. She's outlined the flowers in a darker colour and then coloured them in. She's done all of the leaves in green and then that vase stroke plastic pot at the bottom in black. And she sent me another one as well. So I'm just going to swap those over. So again, this is felt tip, and this time Sophia's tried using some of the darker colours at the top and a different kind of technique at the bottom. So well done, Sophia. This next one is from Dwayne Bryan. And Dwayne has taken a much more abstract approach. So he's taken some of the tulip shapes and Yeah, done them very imaginatively. So at the top, you have a blue tulip shape with a pink middle, then there's a pale green one with a yellow middle, and then there's black underneath. And what Dwayne's trying to look at is looking at the image from imagining what it would look like if he was looking at it from above, and then he's made it into an abstract.
I like that one. That's really clever.
It is very, very clever. So this next one, well, these next two are from Crystal Peasy. And Crystal's taken paint. And what I really like on this first one she's done is she's painted the still life on the sort of slightly offset to the left in the top half of the page. And then she's taken the same colours, the dark pinks, the light pinks of the tulips and the greens of the leaves, and filled them in sort of circles around the original drawing to put a composition onto the whole of the page. And then this is the second one from Crystal. And again, Crystal's done a really great job in filling all of the page and using lots and lots of paint. Again, I think she's experimented with this one, taken the colours and taken some of the shapes, and again, made it much more abstract.
Very vibrant, though.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. Loads of energy. And then finally, this one is from Glory Sengo. And again, Glory's used felt tip. And I love the way Glory's done this. He's started in the sort of bottom third of the paper with black. So he's outlined the pot shape and coloured it in felt tip. He's then in different shades of green, 3 different shades of green. He's done the stalks coming up and the leaves coming up. And then he's drawn, again, in a slightly abstract way, he's drawn all the heads of the flowers kind of floating around it. So again, a really different interpretation. So our art club is led by Alison Marchant. She's an international installation artist, and she's been leading our club's programme now for the last 2 years and volunteering and participating in them beforehand. We've only actually had funding for the clubs, which form our year-round outreach programme, since 2018. And as always, a big thank you not only to the National Lottery Community Fund, but to everybody who plays the lottery. So moving on to Tuesday's club, we have a session called Make a Natter. And this currently on Zoom replaces our Tuesday sessions, which were based around craft. And again, the principle of that is we use crafts that are very inclusive and very accessible, but can also be used in fine art. And what they've been doing in the last week or so has mostly been based around weaving, using a piece of card. And we started experimenting with this a couple of years ago, but I'm very impressed people have been able to do it at home. So I'm just going to pop up this first one, which is Glory just starting off. So what Glory's holding up is a piece of card, and it's effectively something like the back of a cereal packet or the panel of a cardboard box. They've cut in at regular intervals to the top and the bottom so that the wall will slot in, and then they've wound the wall round to create that basic, I think that's the warp, isn't it, Julie, for the weaving. And Glory's just started to do a couple of lines in pale blue thread. So now I'm going to show you Sophia's weaving. And Sophia has got a bit further with this. She's used a pink warp, and then she's using white, blue, and pink thread. And you, again, it just looks like the edge of a cereal packet. Very, very easy and straightforward to do from home. And of course, you know, I think most people have got some horrible kind of holy acrylic sweater that they can unwind if you don't. So finally, this is Crystal Peasy's. And I'm not sure what kind of technique Crystal's been using, but it's very, very effective. I mean, again, she's used the panel off a cardboard box and cut it up. And do you have any ideas how she's managed to do this, Tracy? She's got lines in pink, green, white, purple, and a sort of vibrant blue. And they're all
Yeah.
sort of knotted as they come out. So she's actually knotting it around the warp, I think. But
Yeah,
it's
it looks
very
to me like
effective.
she's done a few lines, like the very first one that we saw, and then if you pull them all through, and make a big knot, you can create that sort of fringe effect. It looks great, actually. I think it's really nice. I love the colours as well. That's
Yeah,
really tactile.
yeah, I'm very, like I said, I'm very impressed that everybody's been able to sort things out without the kind of help with cutting and measuring and stuff that we can quite often provide. So the other thing people do at Make and Natter is just bring their own work along. And this is Pamela Hillier holding up a child's crocheted jacket that she's just working on. It's almost finished. There's a beautiful sort of ochre orange yellow predominating. Then there's also lime green, pale, well, a sort of bright pale blue and reds, and it's got different crochet stickers. So that's the other thing we say with Making Natter. If you just want to bring your own work to a more sociable environment, you are very welcome. And finally, let's get that back. Finally, from the Macon Natter group, we've shown you some of these before. The group's also previously been working on making collages using, just stuff that comes through the door, any old scraps of paper. And this is another one from Duncan.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, and to audio describe that, I know some of Duncan's previous ones he was using pill packets and things. I'm not quite sure what he's used from this, but you've got a sort of dark blue packet that's been sort of almost spread out flat as it was, including the sort of torn bits of cardboard. And then there's geometric shapes in yellows, pale blues, and white that he's cut out and stuck on it. And then there's also some numbers on it stuck over the top. It's just very, very effective. And again, you can see it's a very simple, inclusive, accessible technique, which leads very quickly on to making fine art. So I'm just going to take that off. Now we come on to Tracy Surgeoner's section of the art club, and Tracy is going to show us it's some flowers that you exhibited. I think you showed us a little bit of on our International Women's Day special,
Yeah.
where we also learned how to make the rosettes that are up behind you. If anybody wants to look at those and find out how to do them, that again is on the highlights and links page. All of our previous shows remain online with the associated highlights and links for you to look at. So I'm just going to pop the first image into the stream.
Okay, so this this is all that you need. I've got a pencil, a cocktail, no, not a cocktail stick, a kebab sort of stick, just because those are things I have in the house. Scissors, a Pritt stick, and some kitchen paper, some kitchen towel. And it's really a really simple one to do. Literally, you cut your kitchen roll in half, and then fold it so that it's a quarter of that size. So there I am with my folded bit, and then just go along the outside edge and just make
The
cuts.
folded edge.
Yeah, the folded edge, sorry. And just make cuts all the way along, quite slim cuts. And then turn it over, put some Pritt stick down one side, stick it together. I mean, this can be done, I've done it with kitchen roll, but if you've got some coloured paper, then you can make these creations much more colourful. But I've just used some kitchen roll as example. And then I've used a pencil because something we've got a lot of in the house, just a little bit of Pritt stick to attach the kitchen roll to the edge of the pencil. And then you just sort of roll it in a
Spiral.
spiral sort of way to create the flower sort of shape. And it's got to be one of the easiest flowers I've ever made. And then I've got a collection of those That one's got little bits of colour on it because that bit of kitchen roll that I had has got a pattern on it. It's got flowers on already, so just added a bit of colour. And there you go. I've just popped them in a glass and a little bit of colour and some flowers to put on the windowsill. Just did quite well.
They look almost
Flower design for this week's still art was flowers, so it's worked quite well.
yeah, it almost looks like white hyacinths, or can you think of another kind of flower or blossom that it looks
Lilac.
like? Yeah, lilac.
Yeah,
It's another
lilacs.
lilac
Or
blossom.
lupin. I think the good thing about it though is, not everybody likes live flowers or
No.
real flowers for hay fever reasons and stuff like that. So you can have a flower arrangement without having any flowers.
Mm.
Well, absolutely. And Tracy has shown us, like we said last Monday, under highlights and links for the International Women's Day show, you can find out how to make the rosettes, which also make very good flowers if you just put them on a stick. So thank you so much for joining us, as always, Tracy. I'm
Thank
going to be adding in the next couple of weeks to our web-based join in from home program. I'm going to be putting up Tracy's recent activities and basically revamping the family activities bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to put a video on that will just tell you a bit more about what's available on the join in from home pages now. That's on our website, as we said, www.together2012.org.uk. Together 2012 is running a join in from home programme from our website together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join in from home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an art club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the Arts Club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of carnival percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgener, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have 2 classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell. And as we said last week, we've also added 2 more playlists that Julie's created, one for LGBT plus History Month and one for International Women's Day. Oh, 3. What was that? Two for LGBT History Month, one for International Women's Day. You can find those under the relevant highlights and links pages. And again, we'll be updating that website, joining from home program in the next couple of weeks and adding them in there too. So we've now been joined on the virtual wheeled sofa by, well, let's have some introduction and audio description from you.
Hello everyone, I am Josh Surgener, I'm a host for Together Unlocked, and I am a PhD student. My audio description, I've got rather long blonde hair, I've got some slightly overgrown facial hair, and today I am wearing a long-sleeved, kind of zippy hooded jacket that is mostly blue, but it has a red stripe that runs right across it, and then kind of blue bits on the arms and a big white star in the middle. And it's designed to look a little bit like Captain America's outfit. And I'm wearing it because today the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes out, and that's very much linked to Captain America, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in our Something for the Weekend section.
Well, do you want to kick us off now? Go for
I
it.
can do. So one of the things I was going to recommend this weekend is indeed the show called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a new Disney Plus series. It's the next kind of Marvel mini series that they're doing on Disney Plus, and it follows 2 characters who are very much connected to Captain America, but he's not in it. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the end game
prequels.
Yeah, the film that kind of wrapped up a lot of the last 12 years or 10 years of Marvel stuff. But it kind of follows on from that. So I thought I'd wear my Captain America jacket for the Captain America related show. But yeah, it looks really good fun. It's kind of a spy type superhero-y show. But from the trailer, it's also got a kind of buddy cop film, but they don't really like each other because they're kind of forced to work together because they were both friends with somebody else. So there's a bit in the trailer they're being interviewed or something by a police officer, or you're not entirely sure who she is, but they're being interviewed. And she's just like, "Can you two stop having a staring contest? You're both grown men. Like, stop it. You're not 8." So it's got kind of a bit of a funny vibe to it as well, I think. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing how it actually goes.
And that's released today.
Yes, the first episode came out today, and then they're released each Friday as well.
Okay, well, I'll do something next, and this is called Awkward Bastards at Home. The Awkward Bastards are back, coming to you from a bedroom, lounge, kitchen, cubbyhole, Zoom room somewhere in the UK. Awkward Bastards is actually a sort of ongoing series of events organised by Disability Arts in Shropshire, who are known as DASH. And this year, well, really last year, they commissioned 5 films to reflect life as a disabled artist during COVID-19, so very close to our hearts. And at 6 o'clock tonight, they're premiering the 3rd film in the series, which is called What Was the Question Again? By Emma Plover. And it's a short film where she shares her experiences, which is shaped by lived experience of ADHD and neurodiversity. So she says, I find it quite hard to stay focused during video calls. I often find myself staring out the window, and this video attempts to illustrate how many ideas swirl around my head at any one time. So she said, I've always been lost in my own world and away with the fairies, and I love talking about how I see the world. And she it likes within her practice to give voice to her rural queer experiences, which again is something we don't see represented very often. So that's 6 o'clock tonight, and then it will remain online. That will be up with everything else for the weekend in the highlights and links page. It should be up about 5 o'clock. Call coming in. Had a quick sign to say your internet connection is gone and your internet connection has come back. So I'm going to assume we're still live.
You
Robin,
are. Well, we can see you.
what do you recommend for the weekend, Robin?
Oh, well, I'm actually really excited by something I found. You know, a recommendation that I'm actually recommending to myself wholeheartedly. It's called March Madness, and it is a music, comedy, and poetry festival. Um, and I'm astonished I've not heard of these people before. Um, so basically it's a festival on Saturday. I should say that it's on Saturday. It's online. It's from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night. And the link to the festival and how to uh, view it, be entertained by it, will be on the highlights and links page. But having found it and then looked at what the content is, it is a really interesting, really exciting lineup of both non-disabled and non-disabled artists and what they've called thought leaders. Um, this online version is being run by an organization called Festival Spirit, um, who whose original purpose prior to kind of COVID and stuff was to um, create live performance event experiences for people who normally aren't able to access festival events independently. So exactly what they do is much clearer on their website. You know, whether they already do some stuff online or they organize, very supported trips to events and stuff like that. But what they've done is taken it on board to run a virtual festival. But I just looking at the list of people, as I say, there's artists. There's a rapper called Crazy Legs, um, who is the guy in a wheelchair, as far as I could tell from the picture. Apologies if it's not. There was definitely a wheelchair involved. Um, but a whole host of other artists and people, and then they've got speakers as well, which they've called thought leaders, and they've kind of, I guess, probably deliberately shied away from talking about inspirers and stuff like that. So they're thought leaders, but they go from an Olympic rower through to the woman responsible for the Blue Badge style site, and a number of others. And there's a really good healthy mix. It's not like there's a festival and there's like a couple of disabled people there as artists. It's really kind of embracing. So I'm gonna well, I know I'm not going to be able to sit around from 3 till 11 watching it, but I'm going to kind of keep it locked in on the computer and get back to it, 'cause it does look fantastic.
Brilliant. Is that free?
Yeah, absolutely free.
Fantastic. I mean, I've got a couple of very quick ones before I come on to you, Julie. They are paid for, but I think it's important to say we certainly believe artists should be paid. And usually in a free gig, they are being paid, but by somebody else. So, for example, tonight's Awkward Bastards events is funded by the Arts Council, so the artist is being paid. These come from our neighbours, really, Stratford Circus Arts. They had Protein Dance's award winning show, The Little Prince. And this is a creative workshop by the company that's inspired by the show. They call it a playful introduction to the book, an enjoyable way to keep the kids entertained and active. So you join performers Faith and Andy as they lead and present a dance and movement workshop exploring the world of The Little Prince. And that's £2 to stream for 2 days, and it's available till the 18th of April. And they've also put the very popular E15 jazz sessions online with the Robert Mitchell Quartet. That's just this weekend. It's tonight at 9 o'clock and tomorrow and Sunday at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. You can book that through Eventbrite, and Oh, actually, no, you can book that through Stream Theatre, and it's £10 plus a £3 booking fee, but that's a lot of musicians needing to be paid. Julie, what do you recommend?
I recommend just taking it easy. Sort of like having galloped off to Mexico, and sort of like anticipating the change, the seasonal change. I was woken up this morning for the first time by the sound of birds, and it was lovely. It was a real treat, and I'm aware that I can get so busy, and I can rush here and I can rush there around the house, obviously, but doing different things and getting caught up in things. So I'm just going to play a game of Scrabble, a solo Scrabble game online on my iPad, which is a completely free app. I've been playing it all week in and out of different things, and you can shut it down and open it up to resume the game. It's designed for solo players, and I've won each time.
So
This is why she doesn't want to play against me. I remember sort of years ago, we seem to be the only people who go camping and have guests and then have Scrabble tournaments, which usually involved me and somebody else freezing in the tent while Julie lay in her sleeping bag going, just give me another 10 minutes before I can get a triple word score. And the games wouldn't finish till Julie had finished. As we sat there freezing away in the tents. So yes, I'm sure that's going to be much more relaxing for you if you do it on your own. I was also going to point out that Blossom Watch is coming up, and we might talk a bit more about that on Monday when we talk traditionally about photography and filmmaking. It seems incredible. We've been locked down for so long. We're now doing our second virtual Blossom Watch. But Blossom Watch is something that the Japanese do every year. And last year they put it online because usually everybody would go out and enjoy the blossom. And I noticed the blossom has already started. It's been out for at least a week, if not longer, in my backyard. But apparently it's about to explode. All we're getting at the moment is the early signs. So have your phones or your cameras ready. And if you get some blossom pictures, we would love to see them. So what else do you have to recommend from the West Midlands?
I had a couple of one that I'd actually sent, and then one that you just reminded me of. Because when I think March Madness, I think of the basketball tournament, not a music festival, which also starts tonight. It's the American College national finals that starts out. On the men's side, it's a 64 team bracket, and it finishes on the 5th of April. So a lot of games to be played in 2 weeks. But no, the other thing that I was going to recommend, this is something that I know, Julie, you might be interested in, is today Netflix released season 3 of their show, Formula One Drive to Survive, which is basically it's documentary series that follows the Formula One season. So the season that's just been released is about last year's racing season, and it's really interesting. Obviously, they do talk a little bit about kind of the racing stuff through context of what's going on outside of it, but actually, it's much more based around the drivers and their lives and the team staff and all the things that go on behind the scenes. So that's kind of really interesting. But then I watched the first episode earlier while I was eating lunch, and it's all about basically the build up into the season being cancelled and the impacts that COVID had on it, and the drivers and all the teams and people's jobs, and it's really, really interesting to kind of see all of that stuff that you kind of read about. You didn't really know what was going on, and also it's weird watching people be together. It's really strange because you know exactly when it happened. I know when the testing. It's really weird kind of seeing things. People are going, oh, maybe this will last and it won't. We don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, it's bizarre kind of seeing fans at stuff and then being like, oh, we'll be fine. And then it kind of slowly gets worse. So yeah,
yeah, I'm beginning to think that COVID might be a little bit like the First and Second World Wars, where they were due to be over by Christmas, and 5 years later, everything began to return to normal.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the season is then going to be about kind of the racing and stuff. But the first 2 seasons were really interesting. You don't have to like racing; it's really the kind of the interpersonal stuff that it focuses on is kind of really interesting.
Okay.
Well, a story is a good story, isn't it? As we
Yes.
always say, you can't just put something in a box calling it sport and miss the drama and the spectacle and the storytelling and everything else. What did you have for us finally, Robin?
Hopefully, it's a kind of good roundup to the fact that we've talked a lot about it being St. Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Festival, and we did talk on Wednesday that in Birmingham it's been it's been a big tradition, and in fact it's 60 years they've been running a parade in Birmingham, and it did happen last year. No, no, it didn't. It didn't. It got cancelled. Literally, they just got all the funding in. It was one of those. They nearly went bust, and then got all the funding in, and then it got cancelled. So, and obviously there wasn't any time last year to have done anything in preparation. So this year, again, I mean, what they've done. So again, there is a link to the website, but I just thought I would bring it up because I thought it was interesting that there are some events, online events, and newly recorded online performances, and then they've matched that together with some of the kind of more memorable performances from parades gone past, and I guess lots of shots of parades and things like that. I mean, not the easiest website to navigate, I must say. But I thought what was interesting, and again, it kind of picks up on some of our reflections, is that what they've done is they've created something called I will read it because I typed it in, and an in memoriam initiative. And what they've asked is members of the Irish community who have lost family members during the COVID period, not necessarily as a result of COVID, but during this period when it's been very, very difficult to celebrate lives. And again, kind of funerals and wakes are a very big part of Irish communities. So, and they've asked people to send in images and little bits and pieces about people. And then what they're collating these all together. And then on Sunday, when the parade would have been, they're going to project all of these images onto the end of a church in the middle of Birmingham, and then stream that, because obviously some people may be able to go there
But most
appropriately,
won't.
but most won't.
Yeah, that's really lovely. And yeah, and I think everybody all of us know somebody who we've lost in the last year to COVID or not. So that's really, really great. So that will be in the highlights and links page. We will be back on Monday when, as always, we will be talking about photography and film. We will have a regular weekly update and much, much more. Now, we always end on a Friday with some music. Thank you, Julie. If in terms of audio description, Julie has just put her comedy glasses back on, and I've got so many cats charging around the studio, I wouldn't like to speak for them appearing. But today we have a pre-recorded piece of music, so I'm going to hand over to Robin for a brief introduction and say goodbye from East London. Have a great weekend.
Bye to London. Yeah, just a very briefly to say, this is a track that is called Black Thursday. It is on an album called Black Thursday by Angry Fish, and it just be nice to have something kind of different from me. And maybe Monday we can talk about how I made it. But just enjoy 5 minutes of punk blues.
Put your cross in this vacant box. Come and have your say. Make it count, 'cause it's The result is still the same. The poor and the needy will be victims once again. There'll be blind boys in the gutter, young mothers becoming whores, 'cause the government has screwed us, they don't want us anymore. It's Black Thursday and the mission bell rings. Bring out your dying to do one last thing. Prove to us you're dead, it's the only way to gain some respect, 'cause right now is Judgment Day. It was the bleakest Thursday ever for those of us who care. The pain in our hearts stole into the air. The hope in our hearts turned into despair, and nothing could prepare us for the pain in plain sight. It was just the beginning of the fight for our lives. Tears will flow and the anger will grow as we wave goodbye to the rights we all know. Whoa, tears will flow and the anger will grow as we wave goodbye to the rights we all know. Gentrification, justification, the cleansing of the poor. Propaganda, the weapon, the filthy obsession that all we need is a cure. Gentrification, justification, the cleansing of the poor. Propaganda, the weapon, the filthy obsession that all we need is a cure. Whoa, gentrification, justification, the cleansing of the poor. Propaganda, the weapon, the filthy obsession that all we need is a cure. There'll be blind boys